Sometimes you don't have to really be too complicated with what you do. Stick to the script. And the script for that was la da da dee da 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 da. And it worked because 30 years later, we are still singing that song. What's going on, everybody? You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line with your boy, Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well out there this Labor Day weekend. Well, we made it to Labor Day. And well, Labor Day weekend. I'm gassed. By the time you'll be watching this or listening to this, I will have covered my first college football game of the season. That's my day job. If you want to know more about what I do outside of On the Groove Line, I will put a link to my Patreon in the description below. You can subscribe to that for $1 a month. Find out more about my creative writing, my journalism, my personal life, if you're interested in that type of stuff. But today is a day for good music and good vibes. And we usually stick to the 70s and 80s around these parts in case you guys haven't noticed. But I wanted to come into 1995. Yes, 30 years ago. Because I'll never forget the first time I heard this song. I was going into the 9th grade. I was 14 at this time. So yeah, I'm about to be 44. Whew, time gets away from me. And this song is so special because there's sort of like a haunting sort of trail behind it, a sort of mystery, as it were. Not so much a mystery, but just the fact that the woman that sang the song has been gone for almost 25 years. Of course, we're talking about one of the biggest dance floor anthems of the 90s, back when dance wasn't a dirty word, back when people actually liked to get on the dance floor and dance. Talking about Bouche and Be My Lover. Of course, Bouche, was made up of Melanie Thornton, God rest her soul, and Lane McCrae. The way Bouche came about was Lane was a serviceman stationed over in Germany. He meets this singer from South Carolina named Melanie Thornton, and they start gigging together. And they come up with the group called Bouche. And the song Be My Lover, the way Lane tells the story is that they were gigging one night, and Melanie asked him about mixing business with pleasure. And he says it doesn't work out because he was dating another girl on the tour, and the girl got salty with him, and it just made for awkwardness on stage. So when they get back in the studio, Melanie's like, think about all the time we spent together, and, you should know by now. And Lane's like, yeah, I know everything I need to know about you, but we should probably just keep this professional. And that's how they started writing Be My Lover. Because you can hear it in those lyrics. Looking back on all the times we spent together, you ought to know by now if you want to be my lover. And hearing that for the first time as a teenager, as a 13 going on 14-year-old, it just felt primal. It felt clandestine in a way, just to hear that type of music, because dance music had always been a thing. I'm a dude who loves house and stuff like Tom's Diner by Suzanne Vega and hot music by Soho Pal and Pal Joey and that type of stuff. So and I Got the Power by Snap. Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic is still one of my favorite songs. But Be My Lover was just something that awakened an absolute adoration of dance music for me. Like, I hadn't really gotten into disco at that point because, of course, I was, born 2 years after Disco Demolition Night. I didn't really get into disco until like my late teens, early 20s, when I was able to scour the internet for the first time and discover, the wonders of file sharing. Shouts out to those of us, the veterans of Morpheus and Kazaa and BearShare and Napster and all of these other places that put our computers at risk for viruses and different things. But we had to have the music. Trust me. But yeah, Be My Lover was the first song of that sort of, dance floor vibe that just literally took over for me. And it was just like, wow, this is an anthem. I guess this is what an anthem feels like. And then when the video came out, because the video didn't come out until winter of 96, because I was already middle of my freshman year of high school, and seeing Melanie Thornton on BET for the first time, my gosh, she was gorgeous. Such a beautiful woman. And that powerful voice coming out of that beautiful package, like, she was destined for stardom. Like, there was no doubt that she was going to be a dance floor legend. But Be My Lover itself, like the bass is just one of those bass lines that takes you back to the days of disco, the early days of house, even some techno, even though they consider it Euro disco and all of that stuff. But I mean, Euro dance or whatever, it's all the same shit. It is. I mean, it's really, you get your drum kicking that just get you, get you in step, that bass that just, you can feel it in your chest. It is an incredible song. And then again, Melanie's delivery of the lyrics. And then of course you got Lane's rap, tell you how 1995 this is. My love is like the key, like Boys to Men on my own bended knee. Want to love you, girl, not like your brother. Yeah, girl, I want to be your lover. Here goes Melanie. I hear what you say. I see what you do. I know everything I need to know about you. And I want you to know that it's telling me you want to be my lover. La da da dee da 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 da. And the fact that they couldn't find anything to fill in that space, so they just kept the la dee da 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 part. Sometimes you just got to go with what works. You don't need to overthink stuff. You will never need to overthink stuff, because I'll never forget the unsung episode where Nile Rodgers was talking about how he was writing Dance, 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 and he said he had written this complicated hook talking about, I just like to dance all the time. And Bernard Edwards just said, yo, bro, why don't we just do Dance, Dance, Dance? And then, of course, that becomes one of the biggest underground disco hits of 1977 and sends Chic on their way. So, yeah, sometimes you don't have to really be too complicated with what you do. Stick to the script. And the script for that was la da da dee da 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 da. And it worked, because 30 years later, we are still singing that song. It was a massive hit on the dance floor, I imagine, because I was in club age. I was 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. By this time, by 1995, 96, it wasn't a lot of after-hour spots for kids to sneak into. It just wasn't. Like, when I hear these stories about teenagers in the 70s and 80s sneaking into these after-hour spots to dance, have their first sip of alcohol, dance with somebody that's probably a little bit older than them that they shouldn't be dancing with, it just sounds so much fun. But by the time 1995, 1996 rolled around, just wasn't that type of party. The party had shut down for the most part. We had our little teen, we had our high school dances, our homecoming dances, our proms, and all of that stuff. But it wasn't just, living in Wilmington, Delaware, we never had a nightlife anyway when I was coming along. All the good clubs and stuff had closed by the time I came along. So I missed out on whatever fun my elders had in this town in the 70s and 80s. Good job. Good job, people. But yeah, it wasn't like you could just have that sort of moment where you're a teenager, you're sneaking into an after-hour spot, and you hear something by Chic. You hear something produced by Patrick Adams. You hear something by, Brass Construction, KC and the Sunshine Band, whatever. It just wasn't that type of party by 95, 96. Anything we heard was on the radio. And hearing Be My Lover for the first time was just like, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's one of those things where you just had to be there and be like, this is thumping. She can sing. La da da dee da 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 da. Like, it just sticks with you. It just absolutely sticks with you. And there is a tragic ending to this story, because Melanie Thornton and several others died in a plane crash in Europe in November of 2001. Man, 2001 was a sucky year for air travel. Quite obviously. But yeah, Melanie Thornton died in a plane crash in 2001, and she had just done a solo album. So her place in dance history is just kind of like frozen in time, because she died so young and she didn't have a massive back catalog. So it wasn't like you could put out a best of Melanie Thornton like they were doing with Aaliyah, who passed away the same year, or even the stuff that rap artists, rap labels were doing with Biggie and Pac. Like, it just wasn't a massive back catalog of Melanie Thornton hits, unfortunately. But her place in history is secure, because Be My Lover is just something that will get you up and moving 30 years later. It's an amazing song. If you have not heard it, what are you waiting on? My God. Tell me your memories. What are your memories of Be My Lover? Feel free to share those in the comments. And if you haven't heard it, I will do you the favor of putting it in the comments so you guys can listen to it for the first time and be amazed, just like 13, 14-year-old Chris was. And that's going to do it for this ride on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Contact information will be in the description below. We'll have many more shows to come, even though my day job is getting busy. I'm still going to make time for this, because this is my baby. This is my passion. You guys have responded so well. We're closing in on a milestone. I can't wait to share this milestone with you guys. Oh my God. I never thought I would see this, and I never thought I would see this milestone so friggin' fast. But we're going to talk about it when we get there. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate you guys for riding with me on the Groove Line. So until the next time we ride, enjoy your weekend, have some good food, and have a good time. May you find the groove, or may the groove find you.